At this point, we will open to the various media personnel here to propose their questions, to pose their questions to our panelists for responses.
Madam Pierce, good morning, and thank you for your extensive briefing here this morning. It would seem as if the Inside Issues program, television program that I did on SAT came off at the very wrong time. Notwithstanding that, I didn't realize, I want to get it right, that there is a building code for Dominica. What we are seeking to do now is to improve on what we have going forward in the light of Hurricane Maria. It is quite interesting, though, that the mention was made of the training. I think Mr. Esprit did mention it. What's going to be happening, Mr. Esprit? Because we are looking at cost factor here. It would seem as if we have a new version of what's going to be happening and going forward. Is your professional organization going to be offering advice, and at what cost? Because I am going to build my house and I need you to give me some direct information. And that direct information has to come about where I am looking to mitigate on my cost as well. So I don't want your professional organization to tell me that in order for me to get the service, I've got to pay extra for it. And the bank is only prepared to give me $250,000 to build my house. Explain that to me a little bit and provide some assurance that as less as possible a cost will be incurred to the person or persons who are preparing to and who have prepared and who have built their houses and whatever it is and doing some more reconstruction.
I will start with the part of the cost or the engagement with the individual going through. I don't think there should be an increase in the professional fee, because if you're already an engineer and architect and you claim to have been practicing what the code said, so why now then you should increase the cost? It should be now what we should be doing to help our country come back to it with our professional entities and partners to even be on the international world. Now I think is a time to even showcase our good work here. So then what we need to do is assist the Ministry of Housing, Physical Planning, and even going out there in the society and trying to sell this information to them, all right? Because, for example, what I have been doing is trying to educate my clients before we even enter into the design aspect. And we discuss financial implementation. For example, you have to be able to meet your budget, your financial need. There are differences between, you cannot compromise the structural integrity. As an architect, I love to see a bit of aesthetics, but I always put myself back and I tell them, whereas you could work and up or lower the aesthetics, but you should not interfere with the structural integrity of the building. So if the beam gonna be 12 by 14, then we have to respect that's what it's gonna be. If then I want to put glass or timber, then we can make, because for the non-structural components, then we can make a decision. I can choose to put a glass window or to put a timber door. But when it comes to the structural, so if I encourage and then moving forward, I would like to see how we each professional sit with the clients and you explain, because you should be representing the client. You should be the one helping them to ensure there is functionality in what you do, and there is a so economical part to it. I believe in economical designing. You have to be able to design to meet your budget. At the same time, there are things that you can't compromise, as we said before, the structural integrity. But there are the things we can do. We want to let our Dominican clients know that we're there for them, and we ourselves as a society will be letting our association, our members in the association, I am being a part of the executive of the Architects Association, we'll be having our own discussion or training, how we can help our country, how we can help work with the government, how we can work with the different individuals, society. Because what you don't want to do is to let people think our code was not functioning. The code was good, as I said, we were doing what it said. But it's how we take it from the design aspect to the implementational part. Even though we have to have seminars before suppliers, I have tried it, but you, an individual on their own, can't have it, make it work. The supply is also looking at the interest in terms of profits and loss. If I'm going to bring a quality material, let's say like stainless steel, which is what's recommended for the coastal areas, it's going to cost 2 or 3 times the amount by just bringing a galvanized coated plate. Whereas the plate is cheaper than the zinc. So what you'd find, if the supplier brings in the hurricane strap, that was before Hurricane Maria, you'd find it would have remained on the shelf where the cheaper version would have sold out. We have to now draw the line between what do we really need, because economical designing does not mean is paying the cheaper dollar. It meaning that you're gonna spend less in the next 5 years. So if I would put one hurricane strap with a stainless steel, that would last for 12 years, against putting one hurricane strap that would cost $3.50. You think, most persons think economical here mean I spend less to purchase it, but they're not realizing you'd have to replace it every year, every 6 months. And if you have a hurricane within that period, then you're compromising that structure. So a lot of these are the things we have to do to assist our individual, our different clients in the way forward. I don't know if I...
Yes, Julian Morris, Channel 5 News. Before you leave, hold on still. And I'm not sure if Mr. Martin would want to weigh in as well. But what I want to ask is this, is that I know the UNDP is doing this training going on, and then you guys are also doing some sort of training. The UNDP doing a data collection to inform policy on housing and so on. I'm wondering, as contractors or builders are being trained now, what exactly is it that they're brushing up on? And is there some synergy with the data? To what extent does that training reflect what is being collected, the data that's being collected, which I suspect is not complete yet? So are you guys concerned that you might have to retrain down the road, and is that just a normal thing that we expect to retrain down the road?
I will let Madam PS talk more about the training, but I can tell you about the training in the way forward. There will be shown need of training forward. Right now, what we are doing, or what the ministry is doing, is very important, because you have to start at a point. You have to know what's existing, what's there, so you can use it as data to study what can you do better. If you realize some of the roofs, our majority have no collar tie. Some person don't even know what I mean when I say a collar tie. It's just a system of reinforcement, a simple just tying a piece of timber with bolts and so forth would reinforce that connector. So it have a lot of things that with that data now, it will help, and to even give that sense of comfort to the public, general public. Because one thing to tell somebody, put a hurricane shutter in your double front door, the double door, but if you cannot explain to them why I'm telling you to do that, but if you can now tell them, based on the 80 houses we have inspected, 70 of them, because of double doors with doubt, have flown away. And 20 of those we have noticed with shutters have remained. This is already a selling or the information you're trying to give. Moving forward, yes, there will be the need for training. There might be needs for to reviewing certain policies. For example, you don't want to do things that are too robust. At the same time, you have to do it to guide our codes and the way forward, to guide or to protect the public, the safety. What I mean for training, for example, as I said, there should be certification for contractors, and it can be done in different levels, because we want everybody to be employed, everybody to have a living. But if we do certification at levels, there are specialties that you need different contractors that have experience, that have the knowledge in doing installation of certain. So then from that listing, you can just tap in and then you have a pre-qualified contractors list, for example. If this could exist in every entity, every organization, it's easier for persons to pick the right persons or with the skills to do the job. So then these are all certain things that will go along and assist with the training in the future, because you want to train individuals that know it's not just the skill, but they have it. I think this program has started with the Builders Contractors Association, the CVQ, which is done by the Institution of Trinidad, that have been doing the certification. We want more of the contractors to come in. It's a benefit to you. It's a plus. You have a certificate to prove that you have done certain things. So these are all some of the things we can do in the way forward.
codes for a long time.
Yes.
We've heard engineers say that the building code that we have now, it provides for only minimum standards.
Yes.
We saw what this Category 5 did.
Yes.
So what are we preparing for? For example, when you train contractors and builders, let's say, category hurricane you're preparing for in terms of, okay, we're putting this building together.
Yes.
We're not just throwing pieces together,
Right.
but this will withstand Category 5 or something, or Category 4, what have you. Are we thinking in those terms, or are we also thinking not just the roof and everything, but we're preparing for seismic events as well? So is all of that forming part of the training? Because my concern really is the work that, from what I heard the gentleman say of the UNDP, it seems this is very important what they're doing. The assessments and the data which they will need. So what my concern is that on one hand we're training people in the absence of the complete data collection on this side, the UNDP. So I'm not sure if I'm missing something. Somebody will have to explain to me if I'm missing something here, but I would want to think that we would want to let the policy inform whatever it is we're doing. I'm logically thinking of it in those terms. I'm not sure how you're looking at it.
Okay. Very, very insightful questions, very brain-teasing questions, Mr. Morris. But I think to some extent, Mr. Esprit has responded. The training that is now ongoing by Mr. Phillips of the college in Barbados, organized by the Ministry of Housing, is also a very good training. It's an intervention, an immediate intervention, because, you know, people are wanting to know. They need to know what to do. So from the college level, from the best practice, he's having that intervention with persons across the board. The training that we're doing is an integrated and coordinated type training. So it's not divorced. It's not two totally different types of training. The difference at our level is that we're providing from the government some level of certification to say, based on the standards, and the standards, as I mentioned very earlier on, the standards are informed from our framework, which is the Physical Planning Act of 2002. The building code, the current building code that is in review, all right? The building guidelines, we've always had building guidelines. And from that, we will derive some form of standards. The standards will be very instructive, both on the construction side and also on the supply, demand and supply side, so that the hardware dealers, the lumberyards and so on, can have a recommended list of supplies, as Mr. Esprit was saying, that they could purchase. However, whatever standards we put forward the minimum. I think at our last press briefing, the question came up on what category storm are we preparing for, seeing that Hurricane Maria was a Category 5. I'm not an authority on the subject, but what I have learned is that Category 5 can go from wind speed of 200 miles per hour to up to 500 miles per hour. So there's a wide gap. The fact is we need to be better prepared. That's what we're zeroing on. We cannot be immune, but we can be better prepared. We can't prevent a storm from coming, but we can, by good practice, we can reduce the impact that would return to us damage and loss. So if we can reduce the impact from damage and loss, we would put ourselves at a more sustainable level as a country to move from maybe an underdeveloped stage to a developing, to some years to come, a developed country. So the training will be informed by the data, but even from an observation standpoint, without conducting the surveys, I think persons at the grassroots level, if you were to interview them as the media, they can tell you what was wrong. A lot of them may be correct in telling you, okay, I know my rafters were weak. I know this was that. I know the galvanized I had was maybe tin foil. I know. So people can tell you just from their experiences and observation, but certainly our decisions and policies would have to be based on data. All right? Martin, would you like to say anything, add anything to the response? Yes, you're welcome to join. And you can just stay with us up here.
Okay. So there were many thoughts about it, but I think going back to the standards, and you're right, the code is the minimum. It doesn't mean that you cannot build better, but that is your minimum level. But again, consistency is what we're looking for, and certification will provide that, because if you're a homeowner and a contractor comes to you and says, well, I can build your house better if I do this, but then you have another contractor that says to you, yeah, I can do the same, but I'm certified by the ministry. That gives you some sense of comfort that at least this person is going through training than somebody else who knows what experience that contractor may have. So I think that really what's the training is going to provide, a sense of comfort that you may be dealing with people that are knowledgeable in what they have to do.
I want to play devil's advocate here, because we're talking of codes and we're talking of standards. So what happens then if I decide to get someone, probably who is not certified, to build my house for me? How am I, even in light of the fact that the person isn't certified, who guides the framework of what is it I am going to do, or what is it I want to do in terms of building and building properly? Is the Ministry of Housing going to take up the slack and say, all right, look, or the planning division, for instance, I've gone to them, I've got my plans approved, whatever it is. Are they going to be seeing to it that the minimum standards are kept, even if I do not have a certified contractor, that sort of thing? I want to be able to feel comfortable in that zone.
Very, very good question as well. The physical planning division continues to operate under its mandate. Not only, as I alluded to very early in the discussion, not only to approving construction permits, but inspection. And we know there's a heightened need for more inspection, more robust inspections going on. So whereas a person intending to build has a right to select whoever their contractor is, whoever their builder is, we cannot legislate that. The power of choice is there. But we will continue to do our work in approving plans that meet the standards and also inspecting buildings while under construction, right? So it may mean reinforcement of our human resource capacity to do it, but the government stands ready to ensure that Dominica is a climate resilient country, as has been communicated in the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister that we all embrace as our vision for the country. I hope that answers.
Right, certainly. And Ms. Dorival, you spoke of the training, the two-day training sessions that are going to be having. I have noticed that no mention was made of invite to the general public. Can the general public peep in, as if I may use that term, or get some view as to what you're doing at the training? Because when the guys are going to be in my area, I want to be able to come in. I'm not a builder, I'm not a contractor, I'm not whatever it is, but I want to be able to come in for my own edification, to be able to get a feel and a sense of what's happening there, and to be able to guide myself in the process going forward.
Okay, the training was initially catering to the contractors and the builders, because those are the people that are actually going to be doing the construction. So we want them, and we are... I'm like peeping Tom. I understand that, but we have to deal with the logistics of classroom size. So we do not want a peeping Tom and then a contractor misses a very vital lesson. We'll have consultations, and we have to register. So once if there is space based on the registration, then the peeping Tom is welcome. But we have to deal with the classroom size and the contractors. They are our focus group, the builders and contractors.
Are you going to ensure, though, that all the not the builders, but the suppliers, are you going to ensure that all the suppliers are part and parcel of whatever training exercise you're going to be doing? Because I want to know that if I go to, just to mention it here, E.H. Charles, for instance, for building materials, I can get the same, and I don't get the quality that I'm looking for. I can go somewhere else and get the quality that I'm looking for. So all the suppliers will have one code or whatever it is they want to operate on and getting the material that I need to build.
Well, the suppliers have actually been very eager. They are eager to have the list of suggested materials or recommended materials. So they are in bed with us. They are working with us on that.
Okay. All right. We have to bring the discussion to a close. We are constrained by time. It has been a very interesting discourse right here in the press briefing room, and I would hope to, in the listening audience, you've had a good time interacting, albeit one-sided, with us. But we invite your questions, your comments. You may send me an email at psplanning@dominica.gov.dm. And I will ensure that the technical experts are available to respond to your questions, and also we will take your comments on board as we continue the drive to educate, to inform, to sensitize Dominica. I will just say one thing in closing, in that it is part of the training plan to construct model roofs at 2 of our training locations. For now, it will be at the site of the Physical Planning Division on Goodwill Road. Right to the entrance of the division, we will construct 2 model roofs. That's a hipped roof and a gable roof. And we will do similar in Portsmouth, so that persons from the public don't think that you're going to be deprived. You will be able to go there and see the roof and look at it, and you will be educated that way. And with all our public education programs, no one will be left out, no one left behind in this move. This has been your daily press briefing. It has been a pleasure to have you both in the listening audience and in person, and thank you for viewing.